I was going to come here after the gym and make a video about the Kyle Larson waiver situation. I was going to title it like Kyle Larson banned question mark. Is NASCAR making a giant mistake and everything? And then, well, I come back from the gym and I see on Twitter. By the way, Twitter is broken. We're going to end this video, go on Twitter like we usually do, but Twitter is literally broken. If you post a tweet, it's not going to show up on your profile for like 30 minutes and the replies don't show up. So yeah, it's always broken. Like once a month, Twitter's broken. They're allowing porn on the website. What can I say, man? It's a mess over here. But back to the Kyle Larson situation. Kyle Larson has been granted a waiver from NASCAR to compete for a championship at the end of the season, because we all know we just get through the summer months, we get through August, and you just kind of wait till September. It's like, okay, now we can finally actually compete for something. Yay. That's a video for a whole nother day. I literally was recording for 15 minutes, and instead of talking about Larson, I just went into a rant about the championship. I can talk about that championship format for 40 minutes, and I might do that in the future, but for this video, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to try as hard as possible to not complain about the championship format, but instead talk about this situation with NASCAR, with Hendrick Motorsports, with Kyle Larson, with the waiver, because it's really interesting. I posted a tweet yesterday talking about this because there was heavy rumors, and it looked like, because NASCAR was taking so long, it looked like they were really not going to grant the waiver, that NASCAR was not going to grant the waiver, and the majority of NASCAR fans were pissed. We know this. NASCAR fans don't agree on everything, so like there were also people that there was a debate, but the majority of you guys, I believe, were not happy with NASCAR possibly not granting the waiver. My reasoning was, I said the tweet here, NASCAR has done many things right in recent years, which is true, they have. But when it comes to anything related to the championship, which I'm going to try and as hard as possible to not talk about, they've been beyond incompetent. Not granting the waiver to Larson would just add to the destruction of the value of a Cup Series championship, which they already have done over the last 10 years. And just to do it even more would be very annoying. And that is because in 2015, Kyle Busch was granted a waiver for an on-track accident. In the Xfinity race, he breaks his leg at Daytona. He misses 3 months, comes back. He ends up winning the championship in 2015. Chase Elliott breaks his leg in I think it was a snowboarding or skiing, one of the two. I don't remember exactly which one. I think it was snowboarding, but a snowboarding accident. So he misses a lot of time, but NASCAR grants him the waiver. Now, there's a little bit of difference in that, is where Chase Elliott is not doing anything related to NASCAR. He's just, having some fun in the mountains, and he gets an injury. But the two common denominators in both incidents is that there was injury. So Kyle Busch injured, Chase Elliott injured, so NASCAR grants the waiver. This one was very different. This one was an attempt at the double, something that Tony Stewart has done in the past, and so something very, very special. And so Larson is attempting the double. He's attempting to do the Indy 500, the Coke 600. Everything's looking great until the weather comes. And the weather comes, delays the Indy 500 by about 4 hours. He's not going to make it to the Coke 600, but he tries. They finish the Indy 500. He gets on a plane, gets over there as quickly as he can, runs to the pit box, gets everything going, but then rain, just like it did in Indianapolis, bothered the situation in the Coke 600. And the Coke 600 was cut short. So both races were affected by weather. And we thought, it's just a really depressing day for NASCAR. It is. That is it. Okay, we move on. And NASCAR didn't want to move on. I don't really know why, but they didn't want to move on. Before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon members, as always, for supporting the channel. Thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are the absolute best. Really, really appreciate it. And by the way, guys, about 42 or 44, somewhere around there, % of you are not subscribed to the channel. So please, 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 if you're watching this from the recommendation page, please subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And make sure you comment down below with your thoughts on this whole situation. So now we're going to go on to Twitter, if it's working, and we're going to go through some of these things. Okay, so now we are on Twitter. Twitter is still not working, by the way. There's 8 replies to Jeff Gluck's tweet, and there's only 3 that you see here. So Twitter is still not really working. But as you can see, not all NASCAR fans agree. All 3 of these people don't agree. They're all upset with what NASCAR has done, apparently, that they're not following their own rules. I don't really know. I'm not sure why you will be upset with this. Like, do you not want people to have fun? Do you not want people to try the double? Are you just like the most giant NASCAR diehard supporter, and any other motorsport that even comes close to threatening your beloved NASCAR will die in your eyes? Like, I don't really know why people are so upset. Some people. The majority of us are not upset. The majority understand this is the right decision. And so this is what Elton Sawyer said. Again, shout out to Jeff Gluck, who like, this is a long thread, obviously. So we're going to go through it real quick. And so he said, we didn't take that lightly. A lot of discussion internally. I'm proud of our team and how we took the due diligence. Kyle made every attempt to get to Charlotte. He was standing in the pit box with his helmet on, ready to go. So that was the main thing. This is the reason right here. He made an attempt to get to Charlotte. And there were some discussions earlier in the week about, when other drivers attempted to do the double, where there is a backup plan, or like they communicated with NASCAR that if something happened here, then I would prioritize the Coke 600. Like if something happened to the Indy 500, I would try every way possible to get to the Coke 600. Whereas Larson, the race was going to happen. It was delayed. So he wanted to do the Indy 500, but there was also weather getting involved in Charlotte, and it was going to overlap. And so Jeff Gordon, Rick Hendrick, McLaren, Larson, they all decided there's too much has been put into this. We're going to start the Indy 500. That is going to happen. The Indy 500 is going to start. It is going to finish. I'm going to be here. I'm going to win. I'm going to try and win this thing. And then I will try to get to Charlotte. So luckily NASCAR saw that. They were like, the biggest problem here was that NASCAR was insecure. Like I said, they were insecure. A lot of them in the back of their mind felt hurt that Kyle Larson prioritized the Indy 500, that Rick Hendrick allowed Kyle Larson to prioritize the Indy 500, that Jeff Gordon was there with Larson at the Indy 500, prioritizing the Indy 500, and not at the Coke 600, which is a very monumental race for NASCAR. NASCAR felt hurt. That's why this took 10 days. That is why this took too long. But eventually, if you are feeling hurt, time heals all wounds, and you eventually get to the correct kind of decision that you should come up with in your head. And so that is what happened with NASCAR. This was without a doubt in uncharted waters. This was unprecedented. And we had a driver miss one of our cup races to be at another event. That's why it took as long as it did. Says it taking 1 week to decide was the proper timetable. I don't agree, but it is what it is. Says one reason the waiver is to make sure if fans buy a ticket, they know they'll see the driver in the race. Ask if it was close call. So he said there was different views from different people. Like I said, there was insecurity in NASCAR. They're not going to say it. They were insecure right here. Unprecedented. And we had a driver miss one of our cup races to be at another event. They're insecure. I don't really understand why, they did this to themselves. And the problem that's going to come from this is that any driver in the future that is going to want to attempt a double, this has happened. The threat of NASCAR being insecure, the threat of NASCAR punishing you in case something out of your control hurts your double, chance, where all the fans want to see it, family, friends, your own team probably. This is something that if you have the opportunity to do, if Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano one day have the opportunity to do the double with Penske Racing, they're going to want to do it. They're going to want to give it a shot, because what driver would not want to do it? This has nothing to do with you, NASCAR. Stop being insecure. You're part of a bigger picture. This one event, this one day where you have the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix, you have the Indy 500, and you have the Coke 600. It's a fantastic day for motorsport. But now, because you were so butthurt for 10 days, and there are people within your organization that are butthurt that one of your best drivers decided to run the Indy 500, just stop. Stop being so insecure. Stop trying to ruin a special event, because that's really frustrating. I'm glad at the end of the day they came to the right, decision, but the damage has been done. There has been enough damage done here where it is going to be in the doubt of people's mind, whether it be sponsors, whether it be teams, and whether it be drivers, where what if there's another weather delay? What if something happens here that you can't get to the Coke 600 in time? NASCAR is going to punish you or something, or the possibility of that happening because you prioritized another race. It's really frustrating to see NASCAR, take this long and whatever. But like I said, they at least got to the thing, got to it in the end. He does not think NASCAR will change the waiver policy, and no point Hendrick Motorsports led 100% to believe Larson will get a waiver before all this. NASCAR thinks the double is great. Well, if you think the double is great, yeah, I'm not going to get angry. 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 Nope. I just said everything I said the past 5 minutes. I'm not getting angry. Nope. Kyle Larson is obviously happy. He put the tweet. I'm going to like it. Is Twitter working? Hey, look, Twitter might be working. Yay. And I want to bring this tweet up from Ben Schneider, where, he posted a YouTube video a while ago talking about this, the absolute worst way to determine a champion. I agree with him, obviously, on that. I don't agree with him on this. Like I said, I don't think this is ever coming back. Just NASCAR have kind of gone into it. And to be honest, like I said, you know what? We've talked about the Larson waiver enough, so I'm going to end this video, now just quickly talking about the championship. I'm going to make a much more in-depth video on the championship in the future, but for like 5 minutes, let's just talk about this, because this entire situation, like I said, is caused because of, in the last, 20 years, what NASCAR has done with their championship format. So, like I said, I don't believe it should be a full season point system, but it should definitely not be anything like this. You just... And I want people to understand that as NASCAR fans, as motorsport fans, I am not, and the majority of fans watching this video commenting, we are not hating on NASCAR or hating on the championship and what it means. We want... The reason we do this, the reason why we watch, the reason why drivers compete, the reason why teams compete is because at the end of the season, there is a trophy, there is a prize, there is there's history, legacy, fame, and a lot of money too, at the end of the season that you compete for with everyone throughout the season. And when you have a 36 race season and you compete from February to November, you need to be able to think, comprehend, and understand that I am competing, and as fans, I am watching, because at the end of this, it will all be worth it, at the end. Like, that is what we're competing for. The fact of the matter is this. If Kyle Larson wasn't granted the waiver, it would have pissed a lot of people off. I would have been very angry. Obviously, everyone would have gotten mad at NASCAR. But this is all their own doing because of this entire playoff situation. And at the end of the day, if he wasn't granted the waiver, Larson would not be that fussed about it. He would be disappointed. But like he said, he would compete for the championship with his team. He would compete for the owner's championship. It wouldn't be the end of the world. And that's the biggest, the saddest thing about all this is that next year we have the in-season tournament coming. The in-season head-to-head matchup, which I am so excited for because, like I've been saying for years, the summer stretch, ever since this playoff format has been introduced, the summer stretch is so boring. Like, it just... Every race goes by. Every race feels like a blur. And by the end of the season, I can't remember the races in June or July because I just don't know. It doesn't matter. What are we doing here? The season is so long. It doesn't matter for championship standings. So why are we here? What's the point? So that in-season tournament next year is going to help a lot to get me away from the fact that the playoffs, the championship, doesn't matter for the majority of the season. And whether you disagree or not, I think the majority of you agree, but whether you disagree or not, it's true. It's true. You determine a champion in one race. And when that happens, it's just not going to... the value of a championship just is not important anymore. Winning the Daytona 500 is way more important than winning a championship nowadays. I feel like back in the day, it was debatable. Obviously, winning the Daytona 500, everyone wants to win the Daytona 500, but if you ask the driver, win a championship or win the Daytona 500, I think half of them would give you one answer and half of them would give you the other answer. Nowadays, ask that answer to any fan, ask that to any driver, and I think everyone says Daytona 500. Because the championship is just another race. It's one race at the end of the season. Instead of competing with a 40-car field or whatever trying to win this race, you are competing with 3 drivers, and whoever finishes highest wins a championship. But at the end of the day, everything you work for throughout the season comes down to one race. It does not matter what you do in that one race, or what has happened in the previous 35 races does not influence that one race. As long as you make that race, the 4 of you that are in there, everything you worked on before, it doesn't matter. You can have an engine blow up. You can have a pit stop issue. I don't want to carry on too long, but like I'm saying, the one thing, I want to go back to my tweet here. The one thing, this is true. This is so true. They've made one of the best changes coming next season with that in-season tournament. I'm so excited about that. But the one thing that NASCAR just can't understand, for some reason, they are stuck with an idea that Brian France came up with. He's no longer involved in the sport. There are new leaders. So why, as a motorsport, does NASCAR feel so inclined to stick with something that the previous leader wanted so bad, but nobody is holding you to keep this. Nobody. Do we want this again? Where is it? This. Do we want that again? No. We understand. Trust me. I don't want to see a 36 race point system. I'm being honest. You know why? Because it's so ungodly long. I get it with NASCAR. You need some sort of way to kind of bunch people up. I get that. But the two things that are non-negotiable anymore for me, and I'm going to end the video here, the 2 things that are non-negotiable for me with the playoffs and this whole the playoffs and the waiver and everything that has caused the entire situation, the 2 things, guys, is you cannot have winning you're in. You just can't. You just cannot. You cannot be as bad as Austin Cindric has been for all season. 1 top 10 all season. You cannot be that bad and win 1 race and then be granted a chance for a champion. No. The New England Patriots can go 1-9, win 6 in a row, and they will not have a chance to make the playoffs. And I say that because everyone always wants to compare NASCAR to American sports, specifically American football or basketball or something with playoffs in America. So I'm taking your stick and ball crap and throwing it back in your face and saying, well, if my team goes 1-9 and it's crap the entire season because I win 1 football game, that means I get to be able to make the playoffs. No. Get rid of winning you're in, and for the love of God, get rid of 1 race championship. I'm going to end it there. I'll make a 40-minute rant in the future. But for the love of God, this entire situation with Kyle Larson, this entire situation with him was so unnecessary. This is for the last 2 weeks, this has been one of the most unnecessary stories I have ever seen. I didn't want to talk about it for a long time because it felt so stupid to talk about it. In my Coca-Cola 600 race review, I literally said, just grant him the waiver. What's the point? Who cares? Just do it. You've already done it for other people. Just do it. It doesn't matter. So this entire situation has been so overblown, so unnecessary. And one thing, by the way, that has happened is that viewership has gone up 14% for Gateway, which no one is talking about because everyone is talking about this. You are taking the eyes off of positive news. Viewership continues to go up this season and people seem very interested, but instead we always talk about some version of a controversy because of something that was never supposed to happen. It was never a controversy. It was never a debate. We had one of the greatest drivers of our generation, one of the greatest drivers I have personally ever seen in my lifetime, try to do something really cool, really fun, really awesome that every driver would want to do, and he was basically being punished for it by an organization who were insecure.